Hello everyone. The lesson that we are going to study today is Lost Spring by Jung. It is based on the stories of stolen childhood. Explanation of the lesson begins from sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Why do you do this? Till I will go. Now, in the opening lines of the chapter, the narrator, asks Sahib. Sahib is a boy, he is a rag picker. Narrator meets Sahib, who is a young rag picker, to what is the reason that he keeps searching in the garbage every morning. Sahib unfolds his story as he says that he left his home long time ago. His house was among the fields of Dhaka, and he does not remember anything of his house. His mother tells him of the storms and the struggles their house went through. Since the fields were uprooted, so they left the place in search of food, or we can, in the chapter it is written, in search for gold. Gold here refers to something precious which was not available to them at their present place. That could be shoes, bag, money, clothes, or food. Now, very straightforwardly, narrator advises Sahib to go to school. And the young lad answered as, when the school is built in his neighborhood, he would definitely go. The next part begins from, if I start a school till, which was now drowned in an air of. In the starting lines, there is a conversation between the writer and Sahib, the young rag picker, where the writer asks jokingly that if he starts a school, will he join? Sahib replies affirmatively, and a few days later, Sahib throws a joke asking if her school was ready. To this, the writer feels very guilty of making false promise to Sahib. But Sahib was not affected by the joke. He was not hurt because he was used to such false promises, as they existed in a large number in the empty world they were living. After a few months of regularly seeing each other, the writer asked his name. Sahib's full name was Sahib-e-Alam. The meaning of his name is Lord of the Universe, but his life was completely opposite to his name. And it would be very disheartening if Sahib comes to know the meaning of his name. It was good that he was not knowing the meaning. He was often found wandering with a group of boys, all without any shoes, during the daytime, and suddenly they used to disappear by the midday. Narrator was very much familiar with each one of them. When asked the reason of not wearing footwear, the answer used to be very deep. One of them said that his mother did not bring them down from the shelf. Now, down from the shelf could be that it was beyond his reach. He cannot buy footwear. The other boy defends the first one, saying that even if his mother gets him shoes, he would not wear because he did not want to wear them. So here they are describing, one of them says that we do not wish to wear footwear. The latter one is wearing different pair when inquired. Different pair means both the feet, they have different shoes. And when it was inquired by the narrator, out of shame, he just slides them over each other. The third boy shows his desire for shoes. He wants to wear footwear, as he has never tried any till that day. Narrator continues telling that she consoled herself with an explanation that it is actually a custom among the poor to stay barefooted. She might be trying to cover the word poverty by assuming the former sentence. Narrator finishes her first story here with this line. The next story is also about shoes. A man from place Udupi, which is a town in Karnataka. This man, when he was a young boy, he used to go to school, which was at the back of an old temple. His father was a priest at that temple. The boy's routine was to stop for a short while at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. See the desire. The next part of the chapter begins from the next desolation backyard till in the standing behind the fence. Hope you all have got the page. The narrator visits the town again after 30 years. Which town? Udupi. And what she saw? She saw that the town was in a state of being empty, just lying waste. She also saw that there was a new priest and red-white colored plastic chairs. The present scene that the narrator views is a young boy came breathing very heavily. He was in a grey uniform, socks and shoes. Seeing this boy, narrator recollected the prayer the other boy 30 years ago used to make. He always prayed for a pair of shoes, and as the time passed, what the narrator noticed was that no child in the town was barefoot. They were all blessed with shoes. Narrator continues describing the areas where the rag pickers lived. The place called Simapuri. This is a place on the outer areas of Delhi, symbolically at a much larger distance. All the people living here at Simapuri, they are inhabitants of Bangladesh who left Bangladesh in 1971 and got settled occupying an unused land in an illegal manner, or unlawfully they have occupied the place Simapuri. Simapuri was a wasteland at that time and now it is occupied. Now people are living there. Sahib also belonged to this place. The condition of the land and people is the area is muddy, roofs are made of tin, and some kind of waterproof cloth is there which covers the roofs. There is no sewerage supply, there is no proper drainage system, neither there is any running water. They only have ration cards required for voters list. Voters list helps everybody get the grains. These 10,000 rag pickers have no other identity than ration cards. The beautiful land of greenery that they all have left holds no value for them, as the group of ladies, when asked, gave a very clear answer. According to them, it was much better at Simapuri because they could feed all their family members at the end of the day. Nobody starves. They shift to the place wherever they have hope of getting food. Children supported their parents in this work. In this work means earning livelihood. By the passing years, people of Simapuri became quite experienced. They regarded garbage as precious as God because they were getting food by selling the garbage or by collecting the garbage. We can take it in any way. The roofs they had did not cover them well, but still provided them with some kind of protection or shelter. The meaning of rag picking in children was different from their parents. Sahib is filled with happiness on finding a rupee or a 10 rupee note. He even found a silver coin from a large quantity of garbage. So he says that the urge to find something more or even a gold coin motivates them. It motivates them to keep going. So, for children, it is a magic, but for the parents, it's a means of livelihood. It was a winter morning when narrator saw Sahib standing behind the fence. Behind the fence, what was he doing there? He was watching tennis match. Tennis players were wearing white dresses. This boy, he was watching the match with full satisfaction because he was knowing that he cannot go inside and play like other people were playing. So he was contented with whatever he was getting. The next part of the chapter begins from inside when no one till where families have. Sahib tells the narrator that when there is no one in the tennis ground, he is allowed by the guard to go inside and take swings. He was wearing tennis shoes which justify that they were given to him by somebody. The shoes would have been given to him because there was a small hole in one of them and it was waste for a rich kid. But Sahib was very happy with at least something to wear. Tennis that he was watching very carefully was totally out of his reach. After this tennis ground part, narrator comes to know that Sahib starts working at a tea stall. Now he has a container made of steel which has milk in it. He is heading towards the milk booth. There he is paid 800 rupees and all his meals. Despite of getting this much, he is burdened with a responsibility because now he is bounded. This container belongs to someone, but the plastic bag that he had was his. So he was always happy and carefree. The container seems to be much more heavier because the responsibility it carries to be handled. Sahib is no longer his own master, means he cannot do anything that he wants as he used to do when he was carrying a plastic bag. The next story the narrator narrates is of driving a car. The heading of the story is I want to drive a car. And who wants to drive a car in this story? It is a wish of Mukesh. All his generations are making bangles. He will also continue the same thing, but still he has a desire to drive a car. He strives to be his own master, which means he wants to have full control of the business or any work that he is doing. Very confidently he expresses his wish of learning to drive a car. His dream seems that it will be true in the future, but actually it will not be so because he would succumb to the societal pressures. Mukesh lives in Firozabad, a place famous for bangles. Here every other family makes bangles. It is the center of India's glass melting industry. So likely Mukesh's dream of driving will be lost somewhere among the dusty streets of Firozabad as he will have to continue the generational work of bangle making. The next part of the chapter begins from spent generations till streets in Firozabad spirals off. The narrator highlights the work of making bangles by generations burning themselves in the heat of furnace of the welding glass. People were not aware that it was an illegal task for children as the temperature in the glass hearths used to be so high. Even the rooms used to be dark without any ventilation. So if the law is put in force, it would rescue almost 20,000 children from these inhuman places where these children are forced to work. For making bangles, they work hard in dark rooms during the daylight hours, due to which they are losing their eyesight. It's getting affected. Mukesh enthusiastically offers to show his house to the narrator. In the explanation, he says that my house is being rebuilt. While heading towards Mukesh's house, they cross a very bad smelling road, all blocked with garbage, slums with falling walls, unstable doors with no windows, human beings and animals all living at the same place in a very old state. Mukesh opens the iron made door of one such house and they enter a half built hut. One side of the hut is a firewood stove covered with dry grass. Spinach is kept over it for frying. The floor is covered with finely cut vegetables placed in large aluminium plates. A woman is seen preparing the evening food and she happens to smile through a smoke of the firewood filled ice. Because fire is there, so with the smoke of that fire, her eyes are completely filled, have become smoky. The atmosphere is completely smoky, but she manages to smile, seeing the narrator. She is being respected as Bahu, means she is the daughter-in-law of the house. Whenever any elder enters, she is expected to cover her face as a tradition. She is also in charge of 3 men in the house. One is her husband, other one is Mukesh, and the third is their father. The older man could only pass on this bangle making business to his generations. He worked day and night. First he used to work as a tailor, then a bangle maker. Still he could still he could not repair his house. Neither he could send his 2 sons to school. Mukesh's grandmother calls it as a destiny or a fate because people go blind with time, as for years they keep sitting in the dark while polishing the glass of bangles. Now, it was not an easy task to polish the glass. You have to spend your daylight hours also in the dark room, then only the work was completed. So like this they were spending years and years in the dark rooms, and finally they used to go blind because their eyes could not adjust the sunlight. The dust that comes out is harmful directly affecting the eyes. According to grandmother, the lineage cannot be broken. They have seen bangles everywhere in their house, even the neighbor's house and every street of Firozabad. So bangle making was the only business for the people of Firozabad. Next part of the chapter starts from word bangles, sunny gold, till we are the ones. Mukesh's grandmother continues her topic of bangles, referring to multiple colors lying in heaps in the messy yards. Yards are the back areas of the house, one over the other on the four-wheeled carts. Because why they are lying on the four-wheeled carts? Because they are going door to door selling the bangles. The carts are driven by men going into town with roughly built huts. Numerous children are seen working with their parents in the dark rooms with oil lamps, sometimes on and then off. Sometimes the oil lamps are working, sometimes they are not working in a flickering manner. They join the piece of colored glass making bangles. This is their work. Means they keep joining the glass until a spiral bangle is ready. It is easy for them to work in dark rather than in light because most part of their day is spent in dark. So their eyes are much adjustable to dark. Narrator then looks at Savita dressed in pink. Now we come to another name in the chapter, Savita, dressed in pink, sitting with an old woman and making bangles. They are working like a machine, means they are experts. They are experienced in their work of making bangles. Bangles are regarded as sacred in Indian society. It is a sign of suhag, means married woman they wear bangles. It is regarded as a good omen also. One day, according to narrator, Savita will also wear them the day her head is covered with a veil. Veil is a kind of a cloth with which you cover your face when any elder one comes or during the day of the marriage. The old woman was still wearing bangles, but over the years she had lost her vision. The light in her eyes was no more. She has no joy left because they have yearned to have one complete meal throughout their lives. They could not have one complete meal throughout their lives. Means they could not earn much. It was just hand to mouth. She feels pity on herself, saying that was what she could earn throughout her life. Grandfather in pain recites his story of knowing nothing than making bangles. Out of them he could build a roof for his family. Now he used to make bangles, sell bangles, and with all that he could only build a roof for his family in in all his life. So, but according to narrator, at least he could build a roof. There were many who could not even do that for their family members. Years of working hard and very little outcome has made the generations of Firozabad hopeless. The young bangle makers complain to their elders, and like this, the repetitive sounds of no food, no shelter keeps ringing throughout the streets. For a while, they think of joining in groups to raise their voice against. The same has been done earlier by their fathers and other ancestors. On provocation by the bosses or certain heads, they used to provoke them to raise their voice in groups against the work they are doing and the effects of making bangles on their family members over the years. Now, under this provocation, they used to raise their voice, but nothing have ever happened in their favor. The next part of the chapter begins from who will be hauled till few airplanes fly over Firozabad. The youth are afraid to raise their voice because they know that they all will be dragged away by the police and their acts will be termed as unlawful because there is no famous person among them. All of them are stuck in the never ending cycle of poverty and lack of concern. For lack of concern, the word used in the chapter is apathy. Narrator sees two types of worlds after this. First world is filled with those people who are caught in this vicious cycle of poverty and dishonor. And second world belongs to those rich people, the lawyers, the government officials, the politicians, etc. So both of them have forced upon the burden on the child. So with both these worlds, who gets affected? It is the child who gets affected because all the burden is on the mind of the child, because he has to accept this generational work and it has to be continued by the child. Independent thinking is not a part of their lives, but still Mukesh is certain about becoming a motor mechanic. He wants to break that chain. He assures to learn and reach the garage at any cost. If it is near, then also he says that I will go and learn the work. If it is far away, he is so uh, certain that he is going to walk and reach the garage and learn the work. He is willing to walk a long distance also. His thinking is limited to cars. And he feels sad to think of flying a plane as he cannot dare to think high. Because they are not allowed to look high. Very less planes are seen over Firozabad. So that is why he is satisfied of dreaming of cars. It is easier for him to look to the road side things rather than looking to the sky. Because at the last they are bangle makers, and which they will have to opt as their generational business. So he could only afford to look for driving a car. Thank you. Hope you all have understood. For any queries, kindly WhatsApp. Thank you.